In this week's Parsha, Parshas Koirach, the pasuk says, "V'imbriya yivra Hashem upatza hadamas pia ubola," and Hashem created this new bria that was never there in the world before that anyone saw, and it opened up and it swallowed up Koirach. The Mefarshim ask, the Torah b'Shem the Ramban, the Rebbeinu Bachya, that there were many times that Klal Yisrael said to Moshe and complained that, why did you take us out of Mitzrayim? So why here was the punishment so much harsher that they suffered such a horrible death? They answer that here they added on, that are you also trying to rule over us? They hear the Mefarshim say that Korach v'Hadassah were over two Averis. One, that they were Mavaza covered Rabbam, Moshe Rabbeinu. Secondly, they were Kofer in Yetzias Mitzrayim and Maimed Har Sinai, where it says Gam b'cha yaminu la'olam, and they said no. In fact, they were saying that Kadosh Baruch Hu has no hashgacha on the world. And therefore, in order to show them that they were wrong, Kadosh Baruch Hu created this misa for them that Moshe requested, which was never seen before, that the earth opened up and swallowed them, to show that Hitaka is in total control of this world. Let's elaborate a little more in the understanding over here of exactly what does it mean that because they were going Keneged Maimed Har Sinai and Yetzias Mitzrayim. What does that mean exactly? And that Ki'ilu is that they said that Kadosh Baruch Hu has no control over the people of the earth. What's pshat in that? The Malbim beautifully explains and asked that Moshe Rabbeinu was always trying to save Klal Yisrael by the Egel, by other places where they were in trouble, and he always was responded for them, and he was able to get them to do tshuva by telling Hashem, give them time, and Hashem receded his anger, and slowly but surely Moshe Rabbeinu was able to get them to do tshuva. And over here, even if Moshe Rabbeinu saw they had to die right away and there was no such a thing as giving them time to do tshuva, why did they have to have such a misa that was so meshunah, so mechudesh, that was never seen before? Why didn't they just die like everyone else in a magefa and memela? That would have been the normal thing to do. Why did they have to get a misa meshunah? The Malbim explains that when Moshe requested that they should have a siman to see that he's takev the shliach of Hashem and they would die in such a misa, he wasn't doing it because he needed covet or the covet of Aaron. The Malbim says it was necessary for the kiyum of Amunah in Torah and mitzvahs. That without this misa, there would have not been a kiyum of Torah mitzvahs for this dar and for Dori Doris. What's the pshat? We know that Moshe Rabbeinu, Maimed Har Sinai, Kadosh Baruch Hu said that he is the shliach of Klal Yisrael, and that forever and ever the Torah and the Messiah of Torah started with Moshe Rabbeinu as being the shliach Hashem, as Hashem showed on Har Sinai when he used Kairos Uvrakim, and he said that Moshe is the Navi and Moshe is the shliach, and that the Torah is coming through Moshe Rabbeinu and everything is emes. And that was said in front of Kol Klal Yisrael, Shishim Riboy. Everyone saw it, and that's how we understand today also why the Torah is emes, because there's edus from Har Sinai that's given over from a dar that was never any way and any place such a thing, that there was edus of so many people, and that's given over l'dar. So Moshe Rabbeinu had a clear shlichus from HaKadosh Baruch Hu that was given to him clearly at Har Sinai. But what did Korach do? Korach said, no, Moshe Rabbeinu, why are you trying to rule over us? Why are you taking away the kahuna from me and giving it to Aaron? You don't find anywhere the Mefarshim say that he was arguing on Moshe Rabbeinu's, that he was the Melech. You don't see that. That he was maskim to. But he said, okay, fine. But Mehechet you should get everything. Kulam Kedoshim, right? Klal Yisrael's Kedoshim. Why are you taking everything for yourself when there's many people that also should be getting things? But he wasn't chayluk on the Malchus. You don't find that anywhere. It's all on the kahuna. But once Korach came along and said that, who says Aaron has the right to be the Kohen, what does that show us? That shows that he was machish in Moshe Rabbeinu's shlichus. He said that Moshe Rabbeinu is not mechatesi, that you're a shliach la'amita to give this over to Aaron. Maybe it's not. So basically what he was saying was that Moshe Rabbeinu, you, even though Hashem made you a shliach in Har Sinai, but for this, no. Says the Malbim, if Korach can go and say such a thing, if he can go and say such a thing, that Moshe Rabbeinu is not the shliach for this, then it's very possible that tomorrow he would say, you're also not a shliach on the rest of the Kol HaTorah Kula that was given at Har Sinai. And mainly you're being machish in Moshe Rabbeinu's shlichus that he's the emes of shliach for Torah, that for the Kiyum HaTorah L'Dordoros and to teach it. And going back then even more, you're basically saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not mashgiach on anything, because if you say he didn't make Moshe Rabbeinu a shliach, that's basically saying HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who are you? You're being kofer be'ikr in the whole thing. So Moshe Rabbeinu saw what was going on here. He saw the potential for the whole thing to fall apart. For Amunah in Torah and mitzvahs, the dar could fall apart because of what Korach was doing to the Taina with Kahuna. That would just lead to like a domino effect, as we say. Tomorrow this, the next day that, and then totally obliterating any Amunah in Torah l'daridaris and saying that there's no Torah and whatever Kadosh Baruch Hu said isn't true. And basically, he was a kofer be'ikr. So let's go back again. So if that's true, it still doesn't exactly explain why Moshe Rabbeinu had to do such a thing. So it says the Malbim, yes, in order for Korach's hachasha to be totally destroyed, and he's saying that there is no Moshe Rabbeinu being a Navi and a Shliach, which really says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu's whole Messiah is nothing to Klal Yisrael. So in order to show that that's not true, Hashem through Moshe had to show that there has to be a Misa that is so devastating that there would be no question that HaKadosh Baruch Hu did it only because Moshe Rabbeinu asked him to. To make such a Misa like this, not a Magefa, and not any other Misa, and not letting them live, because letting them live, they could say, okay, there's Teva. They died just like old age. Or if they died through a Magefa right away, okay, so there was cholera or whatever, some type of disease. But to have such a Misa like this, where there's no question that it came through HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and that's what Moshe Rabbeinu said, V'zois teidun ki Hashem sholchoni, that through this, there's no doubt Hashem sent me, because look at this mace that happened. They didn't die in a normal way, right? And if you look in the Mefarshim, Ramban says, why does the Torah have to say that Vativla Aretz? It could have just said that the earth opened up Vativla and they gobbled them up. Why does it say Vatiftach Espia and then say it closed up? To teach us that this was not an earthquake. An earthquake, a lot of times, there's a shaking in the earth, and there's certain things that collide with each other, right, under the earth, that create an earthquake, and it opens up and it creates a crater. But that stays. Mashekin over here, this was not what was happening. The earth opened up and swallowed them, and then it closed. There was no such a thing at all ever seen before, because that would prove for sure. Now, like Moshe Rabbeinu is saying, now it's known that I'm the shliach. There's nothing to be machish. Mela, Korach and his whole plan was destroyed because he really was leading to the destruction of not just Moshe, who was going to completely destroy the emunah of Torah and mitzvahs in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Mela, that's why they needed such a misa, to show that there's such a mechudesh misa. There's no question that there's HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe was the shliach a Guten Shabbos.